Good afternoon. My name is Ray Kuhl. I'm CEO of PBSI Technology Solutions. I want to welcome each of you to today's webinar, where we will compare Office 365 and the brand new release of the purchased Office 2019, with a couple of other bonus pieces of information related to Office filled in. So we'll move quickly today. We've done a lot of research over a number of weeks and months, and primarily, this webinar came about because I felt and we felt that there were a lot of important things that we'd learned that folks who do or do not use Office 365 would really benefit from. So today our goal is to educate, and hopefully this will be of value. So first of all, we've learned a good deal about Microsoft's strategy. We're a Microsoft partner, and we'll cover some things quickly. We'll compare the products that are on the table from Microsoft for Office, demonstrate just a small number of what we think are important features, and then we'll address Office upgrade and setup tips. Anybody who buys a new PC or upgrades their version of Office has likely gone through some pains, and just a couple of simple things can really help simplify and avoid pain. And then for those of you who are considering changing or increasing your use of cloud sharing, just a little bit of information from the things we've learned. So thank you for joining. So many of you, thank you very much, have been PBSI clients for decades in some cases, years in some cases. Our support from clients, much appreciated. Many of you, this will be your first exposure to PBSI. So we supply technology services and security services for healthcare, business, and nonprofits to hundreds of clients in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And as CEO, I'm very blessed and thankful to say we have a really, really experienced team. The great majority of our staff have been with us for 10 years or more, and I know that knowledge helps clients. We're active in research, leading to many of the webinars we do, and our goal, which I think we achieve, is we responsibly communicate with clients. So, Microsoft's strategy, what have we learned? Not pretending more inside information than we have, but it's really clear Microsoft is moving, as are most of the software vendors in the market, to a subscription model. And it's important for most of us, as we spend our next dollar on Microsoft Office, that we plan now and understand where they're headed. So today, Office 365 is the preeminent choice, and yes, I'm saying that already preempting the comparison with Office 2019. We believe Office 365 is the preeminent choice for Microsoft Office. And it comes in many versions, but the basic, useful, important options are $8.25 a month for Office itself, and $12.50 if you include Exchange and Exchange Online. More about that. That's available today, has been available for some time. Many of us at PBSI have been using Office 365 for a number of years, and we've recently moved, so the entire company now uses 365. And so we've really seen some practical benefits. Brand new. So I want to carefully differentiate. Office 365, that's Microsoft Office products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth. Microsoft 365, I expect a lot of confusion from this. That is the name of a new bundle that's brand new, that for $20 a month includes Office 365 Business Premium, so the $12.50, and it includes Microsoft Windows and a couple of other features. So this will be useful for those of you who have PCs that have Windows 7 or 8 or Windows Home that you want to upgrade. And so it's a bundle that will be among the universe to consider, but it's a brand new product and important to understand the difference. Office 365 and Microsoft 365, which includes Windows. So coming soon, this has been leaked but not publicly announced, Windows as a service is on its way. So $7 a month. If you don't need new Office, you simply want to upgrade your Windows, you'll be able to do this on a licensed basis instead of a purchased basis. So you can see the handwriting on the wall where this is headed. Subscription modeling will continue to be the favored method, and we think the beneficial method. So I'm going to move on. And by the way, you're going to see some transitions that you might find unusual as I switch from screen to screen. Those are features included in both the new Office 2019 and Office 365. So I might not tend toward those kind of transitions, but I wanted you to see some examples of what's easily available. Okay, so this is going to be a really simple comparison. Office 2019 is available as a one-time license, so the price has increased. It was $220 or $230, depending on where you purchased it. Now, $250 is the new minimum price for Office. So that's compared to the essential similar Office 365 at $825. So there's a 30-month break even. So what do you get by spending more in your 35th, 31st, and further month? We'll talk about that. So 2019 now brings the purchase version of Office up to the same feature level as Office 365. So anybody who's experienced 365 knows that every few months you get a pop-up on your screen. It tells you about some new features that are available, and it's just a regular ongoing function. Your features are upgraded as time goes along. That doesn't happen with purchased Office, and it won't happen with purchased Office. So 2019 now has the same functionality with just a few limitations compared to Office 365, but essentially they're the same. So recommendation, I'd consider 2019 when purchasing a new PC, and then only if you've decided to never go to Office 365. Our recommendation to clients when you're purchasing a new PC, that's the time, instead of licensing a new purchased copy, to move that user to Office 365. So more about why behind that. But if you're never going to go to the subscription model, then it's a fine choice when you're buying a new PC. So in contrast, what are the reasons that one might want to use 365? So first of all, the $825 a month includes the rights to install Office on up to 5 devices: PCs, laptops, phones, Macs, iPads, Androids, where Office 2019 is licensed for 1 device. So anybody who has a work PC and a home PC, or a desk PC and a laptop, immediately finds 365 less expensive. And there are all kinds of benefits from this. So feature upgrades, while purchased Office will always receive security updates, it will only receive feature improvements when you next purchase the next version, where 365 will get better and better. Now, it's debatable whether the features that are added are always important. Usually they're not. For those users of Microsoft Word in the crowd, you may feel like me, that since Office 2010 maybe, there really hasn't been anything that's really important in Word, and I'd say that continues to be the case. But on the other hand, in some apps, the feature improvements are really useful, in some cases important. So another thing is that Office 365 works on all versions of Windows, where an important thing to know, 2019 only works on Windows 10. So you can't put 2019 on an old PC. And Office 365, you can. So collaboration. If you are a person who shares documents that might change, so Excel spreadsheets or Word documents that are used by more than one person, you're aware that the potential for overwriting a document is there, where you can now turn on sharing in Office 365, and this is true in all apps, but primarily important for Excel and for Word, where you can share documents simultaneously and changes are merged. So another issue here is reducing future risk. Microsoft some time ago announced that in 2020, which this is now almost exactly 2 years from now, they announced this maybe 2 years ago, that there will be features of purchased Office apps that will be limited and supported only for a limited time. So their recent verbiage here is that Office apps will be supported for a, quote, mainstream support period, which we don't really know what that is. But the handwriting is on the wall, particularly in collaboration and cloud connection features, that there will be a divergence, maybe not until 2020, of feature availability between the purchased and the licensed. But it's something you should be aware of. So I will tell you, we've done just tons of research into plans and pricing, and I will not begin to scratch the surface of all of those variations today. but Microsoft does produce some helpful links, and this is one of them, where you can see their comparison of Office 2019 and the two typically licensed versions of 365, one of which is 365 Business, which includes all the apps but no Exchange, and $12.50 a month, the preeminent version used by most clients, which includes Office and Exchange Online. So as I scroll down here, which I'm going to do quickly, you get desktop versions of the apps in both cases, but in the case of 2019, you can install it on one device, where the others can be installed on up to 5 devices. So licensed for commercial use, yes. So now you start getting to the differences where either version of 365, new feature upgrades, web versions of apps, which frankly are not very useful. The desktop versions are so much better than the web versions. Mobile versions of apps, file sharing and storage, so you get a terabyte of storage per user and some important benefits when you're using 365. There are some security and compliance features. Email and calendaring now is the main thing that comes with the $12.50 business premium. I don't want to be confusing. I'm trying to simplify a really complex topic. And there are a couple of apps and some collaboration tools that are available with Exchange Online, and some tools. There are really more details than we'd have time to discuss unless we had a lot more time. But the basic item to understand is that you have the purchased option and a couple of significant monthly options. So with that, those are the big picture differences. So what is new in whether it's Office 365 recently or whether it's Office 2019 compared to prior versions? So one thing that's important, which we mentioned both with Word and Excel, is collaboration, where you can share documents simultaneously. So Word, there's a new feature called Researcher, which bears some similarity to Google searches, where it can research topics for you and find sources. So for a limited set of the population, that will be useful. Going to make a change here. So with PowerPoint, there are some transitions which you've seen some examples of, and in the upcoming release, which is not yet ready for prime time, there will be 3D animated graphics and a new grammar checker. So things that may or may not be important to some people. But I'll demonstrate the zoom function now. So on my screen, if I click an icon, which you probably can't see, I can position my cursor and it zooms. So it's simply a way, an escape key will bring it back to normal, to highlight certain portions of your screen while presenting. So something that's new. With Excel, there are 11 new chart types. So I've reviewed some of these, and only a few really have some of these will be important to some of you, but all in all, Excel's been an excellent application. It remains excellent. I'm not sure that there's anything in the 2019 version that is particularly important. One change, those of you like myself who use OneNote, I use it every day, all the time. I have it on my screen. It's my basic organizational tool, and we use it for sharing a lot of things within teams at PBSI. There is a change here, not that it's going away, but it's now becoming a part of Windows and not a part of Office. So there's a version that comes with Windows, and there's a version, OneNote 2016 came with the last purchased version of Office. Now there will be OneNote for Windows. So the app continues to get better. It's available, but it's no longer particularly related to Office. So it's a change. So the biggest changes, what I'm going to demonstrate, are changes to Outlook and email. In particular, one of the very most important reasons we elected to do this webinar was to demonstrate this relatively new feature that we find really, really important in protecting all of our users and our operations against inadvertent clicks, whether a link or an attachment. So the features I'm going to demonstrate are focused inbox. Until I experienced it, I didn't know what it was. And it's included in Business Premium and Exchange Online. And then I'm going to demonstrate advanced threat protection. So what this threat protection does is, now that your Exchange server is in the cloud, if you're using Office 365 and you click on a link, the first thing that happens is, in the cloud, before it executes the link and delivers anything to your desktop, it goes to through a filter called Safe Secure. I mean, I have that name right. And it, quote, detonates. It explores to the end of that link what will happen. And if that link is dangerous, it comes back with a message like this one on my screen. This is exactly the message. It says, this website's classified as dangerous. And there's some setup choices, which is true in a lot of Office 365. In our case, we have it set at PBSI where we don't let the user copy the entire link. If it's determined to be bad at this level, and the only way the user can proceed with that is by sending the email to the security administrator here and making sure it's vetted more thoroughly before moving forward. So there's no option to continue. So I'll show you quickly how that works in live environments. But I can tell you that as a security company doing online monitoring and providing antivirus, it's very, very frustrating when we continue to see, maybe once or twice a week on average still, viruses acquired, ransomware attacks, damage to PCs that requires significant time to intervene, all because a user's made a mistake clicking on a link. So we have all seen emails that are difficult to discern, and we all are prone, or no matter how careful we are, we know a mistake can be made. So we don't criticize when somebody clicks on a bad link and they say, no, I didn't do that. And still, the fact is, training is really important, but training will never get every incident. So this steps in between the user and the click. So this is true both for links and attachments. It adds $2 a month prescription, but to me, it's the best $2 to be spent, because if this continues to work as advertised, and so far it seems like it really has, we've done some testing, bad clicks will no longer result in bad results. So I'll demonstrate that. And then also there's another feature that's available with Office 365 that's been available for some time, but for those of you who, if you're in a healthcare environment and you want to be able to email something that's got protected health information that's protected by HIPAA, or if you're in a business environment and you're sending something to your tax preparer, it's got social security numbers, payroll information, anything that's protected, you have the ability with a couple of clicks to encrypt a message, $2 per month for a user. And this is something you can do for just one or two users in your operation. You don't have to have this for everyone. So it may not be everybody in the operation who needs the ability to send an encrypted email. So quickly now, I'm going to demonstrate this. So I'm going to go to my Outlook, and you can see that I have some real emails here that I haven't opened. And then I have this other. So this email, this box is called focused, and this box is called other. So these are, it's a spam filter for items that aren't really determined to be spam. So there is a spam filter. We'll put things in my junk email, and there's another quarantine feature that we use, and I get a daily email that tells me what really it wasn't able to determine for sure they were spam, but it's pretty darn sure they are, and it's really easy to review that. But this other, these are things that likely I've subscribed to. So we're a CompTIA member. These are things that, but in all cases, they aren't from clients. That these are group emails, so I can quickly go here and say, yeah, I'm really not interested in those things. Sure enough, this was just a really fast way for me to avoid clogging my inbox with those things. So that's focused inbox. And I didn't do anything to set it up. All I did is turn it on, and it works really, really well. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the feature of advanced threat protection. So here's an email that we've vetted, a link that came in on an email, and we vetted it to be sure it's okay. So I'm going to now make a bad decision and click on this link. And it goes out in the cloud, and here's the message I received. So I don't have an option to continue forward. I only can close this page. You can give your users the ability to move forward after, but don't recommend it. And it's that simple. I made a mistake, and I didn't have to pay any penalty, and my organization didn't have to pay any penalty. So that is focused inbox. So the last thing to demonstrate really quickly, that was ATP, Advanced Threat Protection. Last thing I'm going to demonstrate is this. You see in my inbox, I have this red circle. That means I've received an encrypted email. In this case, I sent it to myself. And when I receive that encrypted email, I click here to read the message. So the concept behind every encrypted email is that the recipient gets a message that says, you have an encrypted email from this source. Ray sent you a protected message. I click here to read the message. If I'm an Office 365 user, even in another organization, I can read that message. What it does is it goes through a VPN tunnel that's created to an external source where this message resides in the cloud and any attachment resides in the cloud. And if I see the message and I open the attachment, then I am doing so on a protected basis. It's not open to the world. It's HIPAA compliant. It's PCI compliant. You can send any message. And if the user isn't an Office 365 user, then they can either use a one-time code or they can set up a login and password that then it remembers. And so if you're sending something that's encrypted repeatedly to the same folks, then they don't have to continue to key in their password. So the ability to create an encrypted email is really straightforward. I start an email, I send it to somebody, and I choose an option with permissions, and my permissions could include encrypt or do not forward, meaning that the recipient is not permitted to forward the email. That's not just words. It really doesn't allow them to forward that email, and I can make it confidentially or how. So these are choices where certain people are on a list that they can automatically have access or not. So important things that, encryption is really an important area for many users, and folks violate all the time, sending information to other folks that should not be sent in the clear. So focused inbox, advanced threat protection, and information protection for Office 365. Okay, some important new options. So moving on, Office setup. So if you're going to go to Office 365 or Office 2019, or anytime you upgrade your Office, you may have experienced this in the past, that one, if you use ribbon lines, and some folks do, some folks don't. I do. I think it's a really useful feature. There's a way to share ribbon lines, customized ribbon lines with all staff and keep your own, that you don't have to customize it again, because when you install a new version of Office, and this includes 365, unless you have saved your customized ribbon line, you'll have to redo it. And that takes some work. I'm going to demonstrate this real quickly. Another, maybe important to more of us, you have a custom dictionary, or a PC has one, so that when you get a spelling error and you right-click and say Add to Dictionary, it's a customer name, it's a last name spelling of somebody you interact with, it's any kind of term that you want to be remembered in your dictionary. You've saved those up for as long as you've been using Office. And all Office apps, Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, they all share the same dictionary. When you upgrade your Office, it's replaced. So there's a really simple procedure where the location of this dictionary is established, and once you know that, you can copy that aside before you do your upgrade and then put it back in place. So it's in the category of some technical work associated with it. This is why when we do these upgrades, we do this automatically for clients. You don't have to ask us to do it. We always do it. And finally, just kind of unrelated, but saving file names and paths and page numbers in Word documents, for the longest time, I didn't know how to do it. Well, so when I found out, I thought, okay, let's make sure and document this. You edit footer, you choose quick parts, you choose field, you choose file name, and the same way you choose page number. So we have created a document that each of you will receive automatically. We'll send this link, so you don't have to note. that has these 3 items and a little bit more detail. So it tells you exactly how to go about doing these 3 things. It's just such a big time saver. So what do I mean by ribbon line? For those of you who don't know, so I'm going to my Outlook now, or back to my PowerPoint. You can see there's this line of things underneath the menu bar. So if I'm in editing mode in PowerPoint, this ribbon line, things that I use all the time, format painter, font commands. If I'm in my home tab, then those things are there. But if I'm in a different tab, these other fields that I use all the time are still available to me. So you can easily export this and import. So what we do at PBSI, I'm going to demonstrate this, I'm going to import. And on our network, we have stored a folder that all employees can get to. And if I want to import this PowerPoint customization file, I can replace my ribbon line. So once you've saved it, every user who you set up now can receive this entire ribbon line. So to me, I've thought through and spent lots of time so that I can efficiently use Office apps and created these ribbon lines. So now with this feature, all employees can share. Okay, enough about that. Just a couple quick tidbits. So I'm going to return back where we were in here just a moment. And sorry, I shouldn't have gotten out of my presentation mode. So we've looked at these setup tips. So final thing that I'm going to mention is some cloud storage considerations. And this is for, we find clients are all over the map in terms of the use of cloud storage. First of all, if you're using Microsoft Office 365 and OneDrive for Business, which comes with it, cloud storage is completely secure. It's encrypted at rest and it's encrypted in transit, all documents. So the question, should we or should we not? What are the pros and cons? So cloud storage has some clear reasons to use it. If you're considering that you need to upgrade your in-house server or equipment on which your shared documents reside, cloud storage is going to be much less expensive in most cases. If you have a need for multi-location access, you frequently access documents from home or other locations. If you access from multiple devices, so you have a laptop or a phone, and you're not going to connect back into your internal network, you can get directly to these from the cloud. If there's a critical need for availability, if my access to my office's network is not available, I can still get to it in the cloud. Backups are automatic and restores are secure that don't rely on in-house expertise. So many clients, unfortunately, store documents on C drives, they store documents on shared drives, and the backup procedure involves manual interaction, and we'd like to get everybody on cloud backup, but storing your documents in the cloud is a way to ensure that your documents get backed up and you don't have to pay separately for that backup. And it's a ransomware protection because the user on a PC, if they were to click on something and encounter ransomware, that ransomware would not be able to get to the cloud documents. So reliability and protection from hardware failure. These are the reasons to. The reasons not to: faster access to files will be available locally. So you're not going through your internet connection. So if you have an internet connection that's slow, might not be the best thing to do. And in either case, video files are problematic on the cloud. They're large, and you can easily do this, but you use a different tool. You use Microsoft's Vimeo or you use YouTube. So just know that videos that are stored locally work just fine. Videos in the cloud need to be stored separately. So no matter what, our recommendation is establish a policy to get rid of all your files on C drives. Now, I realize that a high percentage of those of you who are listening, because it's true of high percentage of all organizations, will say, oh, that's too complicated. We don't have time and attention to make a change to get everything off of C drives. Understood. It's not possibly something you must do today, but the risks of documents stored on individual PCs are just all kinds of downfalls, and as an organization, it's really worth the attention. And we can help. We have created documentation about how to set up and share documents and how to do it securely, and we can make those that information available if you'd like at no cost. So we're finished with content, and hopefully it's clear. We believe that the right choice is either choose Office 365 or don't upgrade. Upgrading to 2019, there just aren't enough feature improvements over 2016 or even 2013 to likely make it worth it for most of us. Consider Office 365 if the enhanced email security features are important, which I believe they should be. And one comment here, use professional expertise. We've learned so much, and through a learning curve, and both for PBSI and for just all of the clients we've worked with, your setup and working with PBSI or another professional who has experience is just well worth it. And for many of you, if you have more than 10 users in your organization, PBSI administration and support of your Office 365 is free. So talk to us if you want to have a conversation about 365. Office upgrades, a couple of key things that you'll receive in the attachment you'll get after this webinar will hopefully save you lots of time. And as far as cloud storage, go ahead. It works well. We use it and are confident in the security, but plan carefully, communicate with staff, and make sure you've considered security on the front end. So we're finished with content. I want to thank you for your attendance. You may log off because we're finished.